My mom was robbed and beaten half to death by 3 teenage boys. They had no idea my dad killed people for a living. This happened back in my hometown in Iran when I was 14 years old. My mom was one of the few women in our village with an actual job, and on this particular night she was working late. Dad only got home at 3 a.m., still covered in dried blood from his shift earlier, and when he saw mom wasn't home, he instantly grabbed his keys. As the eldest son, I went with him, and after what hours of driving, we found her. My mother was lying in a bush, her hijab half torn, purple bruising around her body and in between her legs. She'd been laying there for hours, too injured to get up and without a phone to call for help. She was somehow alive, and my dad instantly scooped her up. We could have taken her to the hospital, but my dad worked for the government and knew that doctors would look at an assaulted woman and claim she was asking for it. So instead, he treated her at home, using what he'd learned from his job to heal all the broken bones and injuries she had. He handmade her crutches out of wood he got from nearby trees. He helped her regain the confidence to go outside. He took over the cooking and cleaning despite it being against our hometown law. Within 5 months, my mother was back to full health. My dad originally had no plans of revenge. Whoever did this would be impossible to track down until the day it happened again. 2 full years after the first incident, my mother was walking home from the market in broad daylight when she was surrounded by 3 boys from the nearby village. They'd been eyeing her for weeks. When she tried to walk by them, they formed a tight circle around her and started closing in. First, they took her hijab, ripping it off her and tearing it into pieces. When my mother tried to protest, the oldest slapped her across the face. She fell into the sand, and once she was on the ground, things got worse. They dragged her by force into an alleyway where nobody could see or hear her scream, and did things to her I don't want to describe. She only made it home because another woman found her in that alleyway and recognized her. When the front door opened and I saw my mom on this woman's shoulders struggling to breathe, I felt the worst case of deja vu. Throughout the next couple of months, I saw a different side of Dad. He was the tender, loving, and caring husband he'd always been, but when he thought nobody was watching, I saw this rage in his eyes I'd never seen. He started making calls, suddenly carrying guns tucked under his shirt to markets, and going to work a lot less. For 5 months, my life consisted of watching my mom wake up screaming from nightmares of the boys' hands on her, while my dad bought GPS trackers and had men I'd never seen come to the house. That's when it happened. I was in school when the principal asked me to report to the office. When I arrived, he looked terrified, and my dad was sitting there in the work uniform I'd never seen him wear. I saw an outline of what looked like a weapon in his pants, and the principal was pale as a ghost. He told me to go with my dad, but when I asked why, he didn't say a word. I followed my dad out, and we got in a truck I'd also never seen. It had Iranian flags all over, and the metal was thicker than I could imagine. It looked bulletproof. Dad, where are we going? I asked him in this scared voice. You're a man now, son. He ignored my question, and as a man, you protect the women in your life. I asked him what this had to do with pulling me out of school, and that's when he finally told me. He'd tracked down the teenagers who'd assaulted my mother, and now knew all their addresses. It turned out to be the same 3 boys both times. My dad grabbed my shoulder and looked me in the eyes. I've spent the past months trying to get justice for your mother. Every late night call and weird thing you've seen me do, I was talking to lawyers, people I know. His voice was breaking like he was about to tell me something awful. Did you manage to get justice? I asked, scared of his response. The fact I hadn't seen my mother in weeks only made me more terrified. He shook his head. No, I didn't. I got something worse. And for the first time in my life, I saw my father break down crying, full on tears. They told me the boys did nothing wrong, that when my wife, your mother, was assaulted, she provoked them. I stared in disbelief at him. And now I have to divorce her, he added. My eyes burst open. Why do you have to divorce mom? Because a married woman can only sleep with her husband. Infidelity is a crime. But she didn't sleep with them. They assaulted her. I was getting angry now. I know, but that doesn't matter to them. He was sobbing so hard I had to put my hand on his shoulder. Is mom going to get arrested? My voice was trembling, thinking about the woman I saw getting stoned for infidelity when I was 9. And when Dad shrugged at my question, I felt my tears starting to form. All I know is the people above me are telling me divorce her, that I might have a chance to save her life if I do it right now. My jaw dropped. I felt tears rolling down my own cheeks. That's why you're here, son. Dad wiped his own eyes. If those 3 bastards die tonight, nobody can prove anything. Full story on channel linked below.